to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, thanks everybody for coming tonight. It's October 13th, 2025 already. Start with calling the meeting to order and roll call.
Hack Rankin.
Present.
Ben Metzger. Here. Eric Christensen.
Here.
Tim Mills. Ryan Werling.
Here.
Sue Wilson.
Here.
Jeanette Campbell.
Next item on the agenda is good news and board member reports.
I'll do an introduction. We have Mitchell Sparks, who's filling in tonight for Ray, who is off today. So Mitchell, thank you for coming and making sure we're all up and going. Right, Jeanette?
Just tell me.
Mitchell, what's your
lab all the time?
Mitchell, what's your title in our school?
I'm the IT sports service specialist, so
Okay.
I kind of do the day-to-day stuff in the buildings. So all over the place, we kind of are on a rotation between spending like a week at the high school, a week at the middle school, and kind of a week off, kind of doing the elementary sport and kind of whatever else it is. So we kind of have a rotation that we do.
So do you help with the tickets?
Yes.
Oh.
Yep.
Thank you for all you do, because I sit in IT and we know how many tickets you guys get. So thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
As always, the Facebook, Instagram, and X pages have all of the happenings and good news and cool stuff going on in the district. But if we've got any board members that have reports, happy to hear those now. Yeah, I think the only thing that I have to say is thanks to all the staff that made it out to the Professional Development Day last month, barbecued lunch at the middle school, and had a great turnout. So thanks to everybody that came out to that.
And just I thought all the homecoming activities went really well. And I thought the students did a really, really good job of just encouraging each other and having fun and all that stuff. So I was excited to see all the kids and just, I guess, getting along in today's world.
I will ask, would you share the email that we got from the referee, football
Yes.
ref?
Yep.
Sorry to put you on the spot. I just thought that was a really, really great email that we got.
Yeah, exactly. It was bad. Yeah.
Just meant to get to the right spot.
It's consciousness.
I didn't see that on the on any of our social media sites, so do want to point that out.
All right.
When you fall backwards, you got choked.
So we received this email from Mr. James McLaughlin. It says, my name is James McLaughlin, and I was the referee, white hat, for yesterday's 9th grade football contest at Lincoln High School. I have been officiating football for at least the last 4 to 5 years, last 2 as a crew chief, officiating 50-plus games a year. What I am about to share with you is extremely rare. Your young players were the best teams I've officiated in all my time of the field, hands down. The sportsmanship I observed was well above any standard I've ever witnessed. Each team was eager to help another player up off the field, willing to trade high fives to players of the opposite team, give encouragement for hard-hitting plays, and apologize quickly when the tackle was a bit rough. And not a single curse word was said. To both schools, the staff, coaches, and players keep up the good work. It was highly apparent to my crew, and we were all impressed with the work your teams put in for a successful season. I will not forget this game for many years. Your players give me hope for the future. James McLaughlin.
Kudos to the 9th
So
grade football
cool.
team. Yeah.
And
That's
the
awesome.
coaching staff.
Absolutely. Welcome, Tim. Any update or board member report this month? Okay. Next item is communications and public comment. Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. Are there any items that we would like to see pulled for discussion?
I won't pull any, but it was officially on there that our Director of Teaching and Learning, Miss Annette Jarn, is retiring. And so, although she's way excited and it's been a long time coming for her, I know that that's big shoes to fill. So, thank you what you've done for all of our programs and our teachers and our TLC group and all the other groups. So, we're sad to see your name on there, but I know you're excited and ready to go.
Not until June of 2026, right?
Yes, yes.
Finishing out the end of the year.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. With that, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Motion made by Eric,
Second.
seconded by Tim. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next item is the allowable growth in the area of special education.
Yes, I'd like to just explain the next two combined. So the state allows us to, when we overspend in areas of special ed, ESL servicing, there's a mechanism, because this happens so often, to request from the school budget review committee or the SBRC to have those part of those dollars returned to us. We get special dollars, so if you think of a silo, we get special dollars for these specific subgroups. And if you overspend, it comes out of your general fund, but they allow you to say, hey, we've overspent. We'd like to have these dollars back into our general fund. So with your passage of these next two, it allows us to make that request to the SBRC to put those dollars back into. We don't get all of them back, but we get a portion of them back. So the first one is allowable growth in the area of special education. And that is because of overspending. That's not uncommon. However, we do overspend our special ed budget to service. Those are all based on IEP team decisions and what is best for those students. And so we've overspent in that area, and so we're asking that we are allowed to make that petition to the SBRC in the amount of $250,000.42, or $250,042.01.
And that just gives us the,
These are
we're
actual
not being
dollars that come
refunded.
back. These
We
are
are.
actual dollars
Okay.
that come back
Okay.
to us.
So these could be if somebody has written in their IEP that they need special services, or but none of our staff's money, our salaries come out of special education in this area, does it? It could.
They do, yep.
It could.
Yep.
Okay, so it
So
could really
anything-
include anything that serves our
Right.
students in special education.
Right. So one area that it's obvious that we would overspend is if a student is placed in another program.
Got it.
Okay. Those dollars go to the other program and often are much more than what we get from the state. So we have level one, which is just a little bit over the state funding, or level two, level three. That would be a level three student that we overexpend in there. Another instance would be a level one or level two student who is assigned a one-on-one TA, that we don't receive all of those dollars. We don't receive enough dollars to cover the TA and the teacher and all the services
Got it.
that are provided in there. So,
Okay.
but we're still mandated to provide those services if it's written in the IEP.
Got it. Okay.
Any other questions?
And this gives us the ability to levy back that deficit through property taxes. But that's a decision in the spring of every year.
Other questions?
Make a motion to approve the recommendation to the SBRC for allowable growth in special education for $250,042.01.
Motion made by Ben.
Second.
Seconded by Eric. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next item is very similar. It's the modified supplemental amount, or MSA, for the limited English proficient instruction beyond 5 years in the amount of $200,821.50.
So in the same premise, generally these students are with us longer than what we're funded for, but they allow us to petition for that additional amount. And so this year it's $200,821.50.
Make a motion to approve the recommendation for English learners with additional general fund dollars at the request of $200,821.50.
Motion made by Ben, seconded by Jeanette. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next item is the Board Curriculum Committee meeting report. Looks like we've got September and October.
Sue always does a better job on that. So this is the September, yeah. Okay. So first we talked about this, what they call kind of a cadence of support, flow, or a cadence of meetings, accountability, where they review data, I think from FAST scores, is that correct?
For some of them, yes, and chronic absenteeism.
And chronic absenteeism. And these are just a cadence of meetings that are set up intentionally to make sure nothing gets kind of left behind or somebody's working on that. So there's always accountability for these improvements that we need in these, with the FAST scores and math and literature and literacy and absenteeism. And the next thing is course to college. Oh, this is a new development, not a class necessarily, but a new program to prepare students for post-secondary education. I wrote down the steps. These are prepare, apply, the financial piece, the decision piece, and then the go in this program. Again, it's not a class, right? It's not a semester class. It's just part of, we're trying to find a way to put this into a classwork. And it's just trying to help parents or students and their parents to figure out kind of how to get there. There's a FAFSA prep night in this program. Next, advanced placement courses. Talked about having at least a dozen or more classes that we offer. I don't remember a whole lot of discussion other than just the classes that we offer, maybe how they transfer into different schools, maybe different based on the school that's accepting the class. Sue, did I miss something there?
No.
DMAC? Is it all DMAC credit?
Well, DMAC.
Those are concurrent courses. Some of them are through DMAC, others they're just eligible. They can take that if they're trying to prepare to take an AP exam.
I can start a little bit, but then I had to jet out of this meeting rather quickly on Thursday. My girls driving to school had a vehicle issue and had a very emotional phone call, so I had to leave. Or my husband had to run to the scene because he had no vehicle at home. So just last week, we started with the TCAP, which again is the District Career and Academic Plan. Lacey Chernus, for those of us, well, we all were on the board last year, so that was the position we had approved to really hone in on what we talked about, this college and career, right? Like how do we get the guidance counselors and the big picture, the career quest, right, up and running as a signature of Indianola High School. So we talked about that. We talked about Zello. We've talked a lot about and just how do we get more parent engagement, student engagement about Zello and their career plans and where they're at with that. We talked about standard-based grading. There was some conversation in the curriculum committee just wanting to understand really the switch behind standard-based grading that took place last year. And so we really looked at kind of the breakdown of being able to really tell a parent, like they may be doing really well in math, but in division is where they're really struggling. So it breaks down for the parent and the teacher to really see the big picture at to where they're struggling, even if they may have a solid grade overall, before it kind of would maybe misguide people as to some of the concepts they don't understand within it, even if their grade looked good. So that's kind of standard-based grading. We now have that kindergarten through 8th. And then we were kind of looking at the Iowa School Performance Profile Report. And this is all in notes of you guys, but also iowaschoolperformance.gov is a good website to go on and just kind of look at different things. I had to leave at this point, so I don't know if you guys highlighted anything off of this profile or not.
We talked about summer school, the summer school that had been offered over at Whittier, Mendoza, Principal Days. I've been setting that up for a few years. And this past summer, there were a few changes. One, they kind of, each elementary school, I believe, has an access center.
Except Irving.
Except Irving, because they're in school. And they moved it from their June time period that they had usually been hosting the summer school. Oh, sorry, it's been renamed. It's called Jumpstart. That's what you see there instead of summer school. Jumpstart. And it's moved to the beginning of the school year in August. That's kind of the Jumpstart name. And so they'll have it. It's been better attended this way because summer vacations and such in June just kind of get in the way of everything. But later in August, it was actually well attended. So they'll kind of review the success of it, I think, at the end of this year. They'll go through some of the data that they try to follow, see if it was an improvement to host it in individual elementary schools and personal learning pathways. These are opportunities teachers, if they would like, to participate in, like modules. I don't know, I couldn't get a good understanding. It's not a class, it's not a, you go away for everything, it's more of a module or something you complete. It just helps you hone your teaching skills. Maybe you can shout out for that.
They have a variety of pathways they can select to help support their individual career development plans if they choose to. It can involve things of going and observe other teachers. They can choose book studies, but there are perks at the end if they earn different levels of points, and then they can pick some Indianola merchandise perks, gift cards. We're just trying to put some more fun. We started the year with Teach Happy, and we're just trying to keep reinforcing those positive feelings in the district.
And 94, I think is what you said.
Officially now, yeah, that was through September, so we'll keep tracking that and recruiting teachers into that if they choose to.
Any questions on the committee reports? Next item is the SIAC minutes.
So SIAC met recently on October 7th, and I had invited Sarah Baker to present information regarding our Title I program at the several of our elementaries and the TAP program, which you had heard about that one previously too. But part of that involvement as SIAC was really, again, trying to not only educate them about those two things in the district, because of word of mouth, they can help educate other parents, but really generating ideas, again, how to increase engagement and participation. A lot of great discussion came out of that. We had a full room, so it's always nice to have people showing up, and those comments really will lead back to sharing it with Olivia and Sarah for the TAP program, but then also, again, Lacey Chernus. Immediately 2 days after the SIAC meeting, we also had our teacher focus group that works with our district career and academic plan. So a lot of that is going into those ideas, and you'll hear about the DCAP later this year too, of what we're trying to do to increase that branding, increase awareness, and the parents just had some really good ideas about things we could develop to help them understand the process from elementary all the way through to high school. So it was a good kickoff meeting.
When's your next meeting?
That is November 4th at 6:30.
All right, any questions for Annette? Next section in the agenda is finance and facilities. Got our year-end treasurer's report attached.
Looks so nice.
I can run through it real quick, if you'd like. So kind of when I look at financials, because a lot of the information can be presented to you as just a snapshot at one point in time. So what I like to look at is history of things and see if you can pick up any trends. So as you can see, up there right now is the enrollment trend. And sometimes I just think, sometimes it's interesting how the numbers change or don't change. So if you look at this one, the resident students the last 5 years has gone down. The tuition out numbers have stayed fairly stable over those 5 years, but the tuition in has grown. So between the resident students going down, but the open enrollment coming in, it kind of levels that off. So it's the amount of students served stays pretty stable. As you see, preschool dropped a little bit, but then this year it's climbing back up. I think that's just a sign of there's less younger students around. As we look at this year's numbers, we see the current year, preliminarily, we're going to be down some, and the majority of that comes from last year's senior class being quite a bit bigger than this year's kindergarten class. Which, as we look at the numbers across the grades, that may be common for a little bit. Next, there's the fund balances. And same thing here, you can see we ended the year with a general fund balance of $9.7 million, and that has climbed from $8.1 million in 2021. So that's a good sign. And kind of level off there. If you get too much, I always say we're not a bank. We don't want to keep a bunch of cash in the bank, but it's nice to have something to fall back on. So it's nice to be in a nice range where you don't have too much money, but then you don't want to be in a position where you don't have enough either. So it's we're in a nice position. You can see all the activities pretty stable. Management has grown a little bit over those 5 years. Pearl has grown. SAVE has grown, and that's what we'll be bonding against for the phase 2 of the high school. PEPL has grown quite a bit, so there'll be probably some items that were paid out of SAVE that will be switching to PEPL. Debt service should be minimal, because basically you levy every year for the amount of your costs. So if you levy, you shouldn't be levying too much, because that's actually double checked by the county auditor when you submit your budget for the year. Food service has grown quite a bit, and we're working on spending that down. You're only supposed to have 3 months expenses in there, and I think as you know, we've provided free breakfast there to help spend that down, and they purchased some equipment also to try and keep that balance down. If you go over and you don't have a good enough plan, the state says we'd like some of that money back, and that's not a position we want to be in. So.
Brian, on the pre-breakfast, do we have an estimate on how much that's going to come down by the end of this year?
I have not seen any preliminary numbers. Do you have anything?
When we priced it out, taking last year's breakfast counts and adding a few more, it was about 70,000.
But I've not seen any numbers come through for the first month and a half we've been in school. And our self-funded health insurance fund, it's nice to see this grow. As it grows, we have more options, things we can do to save more money there, keep rates stable, but then we can also offer more services within that health insurance fund by adding, more maybe mental health, or there's different things we can do within that fund.
Brian, can you talk about the difference between the general and unassigned general fund balances?
So the general account, that includes all categorical funds, where the unassigned general fund balance just is a difference. That's the amount that is not any categorical funds. So all those TLC,
TAG,
TAG,
ESL.
all those would be included in the general fund, but it's not in the unassigned general fund balance.
We're STEM and CTE full.
What did you ask?
STEM and CTE. What
We
do
don't
they?
have specific dollars, those would be, dollars, professional development, all of those are siloed. But if, the general fund you can spend on teachers, your teacher salaries, your electricity, water, all of those types of things. Whereas the siloed amounts, the siloed funds can only be spent in those areas. Okay? Unless they are ones that we can ask the board to transfer out of, which we did in June, I think, of this past year.
Yeah, so the unassigned would be the funds that you could use towards things that you, like initiatives that you wanted to grow or whatever, like CTE or STEM type things.
But you did say that the unassigned general fund balance is part of the general fund balance.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
So the difference would be all the funds that have strings attached to it. And included that amount is also that 500,000 that was transferred. Because that wouldn't happen until this year.
Okay.
And those we want to keep an eye into, and we'll continue to monitor those. We don't want to get them too high, because then when the legislators meet, they see what those balances are, and then they start questioning whether it's good to keep giving more money. So it's good to keep those spent down to a realistic level. Next slide, we have the special education balance, and this is kind of what we talked about a little earlier. This shows the last 3 years. As you can see, the increase, we look back, and is due to mostly salaries and benefits and fewer special education students. So that's a number. We try to make sure we have the correct number of students, the right number of teachers for the correct number of students. We don't want to be overstaffed, so each teacher only has, 5 to 10 kids, depending on the load, and that's Sarah takes care of that and makes sure we have the prescribed number of associates to go along with the number of students.
Are these numbers that are reporting before or after we ask for that money back?
This is our total negative. Now, we can't ask for all of that. We can only ask for that 250,000. So that would come out of that 488.
Okay. So last year we were plus, we didn't ask for money back.
With that.
The year before that, we were 90,000 negative, and we asked for some of that back. But these numbers would be the whole number.
That we're negative.
What we ask for, they keep track, so if you're positive one year and then negative the next, they add those together. And that's why the amount that we asked was less than the 488. Because that was kind of a running total of what that balance has been. And some of this stuff may interest you moving forward, but there's a contribution ratio, and this just splits out your revenue based on local, state, federal, and other amounts. And I found this interesting when I ran the numbers. You can see what our federal exposure is less than 3% of our total budget. So for fiscal year 24, we are at 96.76% from local and state sources. And fiscal year 25, we are at 97.26. I think that's a good position to be in with the current state of affairs. So if it ever did happen where we're cut federal funds, it won't affect us a whole lot. Obviously, there's close to $1 million in there, but it's not, 10% of our budget. So,
Part of that is nutrition, and that's not tied to the U.S. Department of Education. That's USDA. And so as they talk about the funds with the federal government, those are title funds, basically. Nutrition funds are completely separate, which is part of that 2.3.
next slide, shows days net cash flow. This kind of shows where your cash balance is at the end of the year compared to your total expenditures. As you can see, it's ranged in a pretty tight grouping there. From 2021 is 105 days to 2025 is 103 days, which is a good place to be. We don't receive much income in June and July because that's when our state aid payments drop off, so it's good to have money to pay the bills in the summer. And that's kind of what your cash balance is for, is to cover those months where you receive less revenue, up until we receive our property tax payment in September. Next, we have the investment income. As you can see, in 2021, it was $12,000. And in 24-25, it was about $450,000. And that's more based on the interest rate than anything else. I think back in the day, it was 0.005% versus last year was close to 5%. So that's the difference in what I think I made a note in there. We've probably seen the highs for that, and now it's going to keep going back down as the interest rates drop. So there's good and bad. We can borrow for less, but then we get less for our money. So that's kind of the situation we're in at this point. Salary and benefits, percent of expenses. We're sitting at 80.7% for 24-25, and 2021 was 80.4%. So that's also a very tight range. And that's a good range to be in. If you get too much salary and benefits, and then if you have some situations happen during the year where you have to reduce your expenses, it makes it very challenging when the majority of your expenses are salaries and benefits, because like teachers are contracted for the year, a number of people are contracted during the year, so you're very limited on your options at that point. So this is a good, right in the middle of where it should be at for the district. And solvency ratio is another statistic people like to look at. As you can see, 24-25, we're at 18.37. 2021, we're at 18.71. So between 15 and 20 is considered in a very good position. You start dropping below that, you kind of have to possibly make some adjustments to keep it in that range. So, that's the end of my report. I tried to give you a little condensed version, possibly than what's been shown in the past. And hopefully you can let me know if you'd like to see anything different with it. So.
I'd like to bring my 7th grader and 10th grader next year to hear the way it was presented. It's very basic and common sense directed, so good report.
Yeah.
I won't go as far as that. Those numbers are common sense. I mean, I still have some
His
questions.
narrative was common
His
sense.
narrative is common
Numbers
sense.
were what they are. But
Yes.
there's a lot of underlying financial advisement that was threaded through theirs.
Any questions on the treasurer's report? If not, we need a motion to accept as presented.
Motion to accept as presented.
Motion made by Tim,
Second.
seconded by Eric. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next item is the authorization of district purchase cards, or P cards as they're referred to. I think a couple of different committees have already had the opportunity to hear about these, but in the past, staff members have just paid for whatever they need out of pocket and submitted receipts for reimbursement. We've only had a handful of district credit cards for usage. And this is going to be a whole lot easier for our staff to be able to have access to use the district's funds a little bit, I think in a little bit more appropriate way. The difference between a P card and a credit card is the P cards are limited on where they can be used. You can't go into Bath and Body Works and swipe a P card, it just won't work there. But the hardware store or Walmart, places like that, it will work. So Tara and Brian have both put in a lot of work in trying to get this all set up and figured out on how we can utilize it and how we would be able to get the receipts then from the employees to go through and do an audit on the transactions that get processed. So, did I miss anything?
No, and Brian's working on a handbook for those that check one out to make sure that they understand their liability when they are using it, what their responsibilities are when they turn in itemized receipts. If you don't have an itemized receipt, you're going to be billed for it. It's yours to purchase.
Give us examples of who would be using this?
So one of the ones that comes up is activities, because they need to book hotel rooms and they need to get tickets for different things when they're out and about. We didn't have a mechanism to do that before. So many of them, Ryan would put things on his own credit card, or the coaches would put it on their credit cards, and then seal the deal that way. And then we would reimburse them for things. When they go out traveling, we would reimburse for meals. We would reimburse for tickets for events, things like that, whereas now they would be able to charge those right away. One of the things that we run into is when you purchase something on your own, like you go to Walmart and purchase something, the district can't reimburse tax. And so then the employee has to pick up that tax, which in and of itself isn't a lot until you start to add that up, and it might be $100 a year or something. So now we wouldn't have that issue. They would have a tax, what do they call them?
Tax exempt.
Tax exempt cards that would go with the credit card.
Okay.
Any questions?
Which position will manage the GPC program?
The building principals would manage the ones that are in their building. So Brian asked all of them, how many would you want? Most of them want one or two. They don't want to be responsible for them. And then they're responsible for the process of checking them out, getting them back, and then getting the right paperwork back to us, or to Brian and his department.
And I would assume we'll have some staff that just have them issued directly.
Right, so like Family Consumer Science, they purchase groceries all the time. She would just have one that she would go and do that. Ryan would probably have one just assigned to him, and then a couple for the activities. Activities will have probably more, simply because we have more coaches and things going out, and it's just used more often there. Whereas the elementaries, I think they wanted maybe one or two at most in their buildings.
Food service and, transportation and maintenance also.
Facilities. All right, if there are no
Is
other,
this a motion?
yes, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the authorization of district purchase cards.
Motion made by Sue, seconded by Ryan. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
And that is going to come with the handbook, where they're going to have to sign off and all that? Okay.
We're working on the procedure manual right now.
Next item is the September 30th Finance Committee meeting report. Either of you want to take that? Would you like me to?
Go for it, Matt.
Okay, we talked about the Phase 2 project at the high school. Really, I think that the biggest conversation that we had around Phase 2 was the size of the competition gym and how everything is going to lay out. The current, I guess I'll call it current, the current layout does allow for 3 wrestling mats to be laid out, but they're in the shape of an L, which makes it a little bit difficult to try to maneuver in and out and teach the class where everybody can just see you from where you're at. The conversation was around expanding the footprint so that we can get all of the mats in a row. And I believe we can even can we get a fourth one in there if we have to?
That's in the
For
wrestling.
upstairs?
Or
Okay.
in the actual wrestling practice room, we'd be able to have a 4-mat configuration in there.
The approximate cost to doing this is it's estimated somewhere between 3 and 4 million. Finance committee felt like that was probably the right direction to go. If we're gonna spend all this money on this project, 3 or 4 million is a lot of money, but at the same time, this is gonna be a building that we're gonna use for a lot of years, so maybe we should just do it the right way, and right now with where we're at, on the project and the funding, we felt like it was the right direction to go, with moving forward with that. And how we would be able to fund and pay for that.
And I have that later in the action item.
So besides our wrestling team, who else uses this space?
So this will be the new competition gym.
Okay, so it's just, we need to make it bigger so wrestling can have.
Right, so when you host events, as it's laid out right now, it would be like an L shape, 2 and 3. Well, that prevents you from being able to bring the bleachers on that one side out, fully
Okay.
out. This would allow us to put 3 mats straight down the middle, use both bleacher sides.
Perfect.
In there. It also allows for a little bit more in terms of the length of the gym, so you're not butting up right to the wall for basketball or volleyball, but that provides a little more space there. It also allows us to bring the HVAC from the upper level down to the lower level, which then pushes everything back a little bit, gives us some more room. That allowed us to reconfigure the upstairs so that we have a practice wrestling area that allows us 4 mats, so we don't have to split or combine boys and girls. Boys and girls now would have their separate practice areas, one upstairs, one in the East Gym. They can swap into those things. It also allows us to bring the weight room upstairs, so that now we have the walking track and the weight room in one area, and potentially bringing in health classes and our training rooms down to where the competition gym is, and not having to run back and forth and have supplies going back and forth. They're right there if we would need them.
The other thing that we discussed was the contingency money for phase 1 would cover a portion of this. So between the contingency money and the bond money that we've brought in that's had fairly good investment return, just where interest rates are at, a lot of this would be covered under that, to where we wouldn't necessarily have to make up a substantial amount compared to the overall increase in the project. So that was pretty much the bulk of the conversation. Bernie was here and kind of walked through that with us as well. So, did I miss anything?
Spot on.
So seeing this is one of the benefits of phase 1, phase 2, right? Because it gives you a chance to catch things like this. That's good.
Yeah, the drawings were about 95% done, and so what we want to do is free them up to go and finish the drawings based on this expanded footprint, if you approve that. The other thing is to remember that this is also the storm shelter. And so we can't take that HVAC unit and put it on the roof. We can't. It just makes it a little more expensive because you have to put that enclosed because it is your storm shelter, so that has to maintain its integrity if a storm should come. It keeps it inside, gives us a little more room if we should have a big storm and we need all the kids in an area. So.
Would that be the go-to for the whole building?
I was gonna say, like, was it 2? Yeah, 2 musicals
Yeah, last year.
ago. No, it was 2 because it was The Wizard of Oz. Because it was,
You're right.
and we
Tornado.
had to move everybody. And that was a mess because they were like in the back room and
This
there's
would
like
have the
700
capacity to
people.
hold
And that's where everyone would go. Okay.
Any other questions? All right, next item is the Facilities Committee meeting report.
I think I can take this.
Go for it.
I've done one of these before, so, okay. Bernie told us the facade is up on the south and west side. And as someone who lives on this site, yeah, it's been fun to see it go up. Looks great. I was a little concerned about the color at the beginning. Was anyone else?
I was a little bit, but it's growing on me.
Yeah, that's what I felt. It looked a little orangey at the beginning, but, yeah.
It's
Everybody
supposed to
else
look
done?
like a school building? Is that why they chose that color? So it looks like a school
Yeah.
brick?
I thought they told us they were trying to tie it into the color of the brick, right?
I,
Brick.
they are.
To try and blend it in.
Right,
So
and
when
it's-
when my girls asked, I explained it that way.
Right. At first, I didn't see the blend, but it's happening. Okay, all right. And then he said the courtyard turf is installed. Sand base goes over the top, and then a white facade will go on, and then the courtyard's completed, and it's going to be pretty easy maintenance, right? Isn't that what he said? Low maintenance, right? Yeah, low maintenance. I agree with that. I've seen too many courtyards turn into a weed patch over the years. Inside the south lower level is majority of the completed areas, primer coat paint. Seeded grass is growing around the retainage pond and the old transportation building on the hillside. And that's kind of amazing considering how dry it's been, but that's good news. Committee agreed the administration to take the expanded footprint of phase 2, and that's what we just talked about, so that's great. Baseball, softball project, that's fun to watch happening as well. Turf tacking is being finished up, finishing the concrete work, so they don't have to run tracks over the new laid turf. And so I've noticed today, there's sort of like, what's that, is it like gravel that goes on underneath?
That goes on first.
Did the base layers, that was called, yeah.
And now everything has to stay off of it until the turf is laid down, or they have to restart that process.
Fun to see these projects being done. Work on the softball footings and dugouts while they're laying the turf, and then they'll move to the softball field to lay the turf. And the goal is for the turf to be laid this fall on both fields. And they did mention, I don't know if Ben mentioned this or who mentioned, but we kind of jumped on this because a lot of other school districts decided to do this, but we were first. So, yeah, we got ahead of them. Because of our gift.
Yes.
Yeah, because of our gift, that was timely. And then the old administration office update. So that carpet's been installed, painting completed, a few things to complete, but according to my notes, that they'll be able to move in soon, the end of October. Or it says AEA begins moving in this week, okay, but not fully. All right, and then ICC offices will be in there as well.
It was fun, this afternoon I was coming back from one of the buildings and the moving van was there. So the AEA is moving some things in.
Yeah, it's nice to have them close. It's a great idea. And then questions from the committee, shared fields with the Little League. A question came about whether we would revisit that agreement to open up more space practice for our own school programs. And they're still looking at that agreement. And how long is the agreement that we have? I can't remember what they.
2036.
36, 37, something like that.
Couple years ago.
Wow. 2036?
So 2036.
40-year agreement is what it was.
40-year agreement. That may or may not be a hot topic. We know the dates.
Okay. So the committee asked about other locations for additional space for soccer. Soccer, our program seems to be really growing. And then for baseball and softball. I think that was it.
Any questions for Jeanette? Great job for your first report.
Well, it was a fun one. I like facilities. I like projects being done.
Next item is the approval of the updated Phase 2 plans for the high school project and the budget. I kind of talked about that a little bit, but there are several supporting documents that go along with this. Happy to answer any questions. If there's any discussion or questions.
Can you pull up that estimated budget breakdown? I just want to show kind of where the funds potentially could come from. Now, this is a best case scenario. All these numbers come through. So our construction contingency, This is actually reallocating 20%, I'll fix that. It's keeping 80% of the contingency for the project, but reallocating 20% of that from phase one, so 793,000. Furniture, we have budgeted 2 million, and they believe they can do it for 1.2. So 800,000 would go here. And we have 2 million in there, but we had just purchased new furniture for the high school. And much of that is in really good shape that we can just move over and reuse that versus buying new. So moving 800,000 to this. And then technology, we had 3 million. When Ray went through, he's like, we don't need 3 million. 660,000 is a high estimate. So we reallocated 2.3 million that could be reallocated. So that would give us about 3.9. Leaving 135,000 remaining, if all of these things came true. Again, this is best case scenario, but even at 135, we have some wiggle room if we wanted to use Pebble or Save and not have to bond to do that. If something should go completely off track and we would need to find that 4 million, talking with Piper, Travis at Piper, he's like, that's not an issue at all. You would be well within your range to increase the project by 4 million. If we would have to do that, I don't anticipate that we would have to. So.
I really feel strongly that the community will support spending the extra money to do the project the right way after the support that they had for the initial bond. Don't want to have to go back to the voters and ask for the money. Would hope that we would be able to maintain the budget that was set forth. And I think that this is a really good solution for the change.
Yeah.
With that, any questions? Otherwise, entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the revised Phase 2 plans and budget as presented.
Made by Tim, seconded by Ben. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you.
Policy Committee report from September 25th.
Most of this report is in your review, revise, rescind. I mean, that's kind of what we've gone over. And again, we're just going through the IASB audit to make sure that our policies are up to date, that they are following legal advisement, and that any changes that have been made legislatively are reflected in the policies. The committee has not changed a whole lot of the content, actually none of the content of these. It's just the revisions based on what IASB has given us. So it's hard to kind of give a committee report on them when they're listed right there.
I think we need to get Eric a badge that says Grammar Police.
I do think that is true. That is true.
He does a great job.
He does a great job of
pointing out where we've got some grammar errors or spelling errors.
And I do appreciate that.
Are you open to?
You can see that there's
Scholarships, applications? No?
Moonlighting.
Oh, come on.
we can find some stuff for you.
He even throws out like the correct terms. And I'm like, wait, what did you just say?
So are you secretly on that committee that does the APA, how you exactly have to cite an article when you use it? Because I feel like that changes all the time between the semicolons and the colons, and I have no idea.
I do appreciate it though, Eric.
I do too.
We give you a hard time, but it's very helpful.
The numbers guy was a letters guy.
Grammar guy.
Everybody on that committee, I swear, has like a closet English degree.
Eric's he's an onion. Eric's he's an onion.
Closet.
Peel off the layers.
Well, we've got 4 that we reviewed in the 700 series. They were all mandatory policies. There were no changes that we made. We took IASB's recommendation. There are a handful of revised policies. You can see in here the updates that were made to the policies. Again, followed the recommendation of IASB outside of the grammar issues. We had 3 policies that were, I'm going to air quote, rescinded. They were all just moved to different sections inside of our policy. And then no new policies were noted on there. And then we've got the second reading of several from July.
Yes.
Because we didn't meet in August, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Happy to answer any questions on any of those for you, but like I said, there were no changes internally on any of them. All right, entertain motion to accept the first reading and second reading as presented then.
Motion to approve for first and second readings as presented.
Motion made by Eric, seconded by Ryan. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Looking at the board calendar. There's a board meeting tonight. However, it says 5 o'clock instead of 5:30. Look at that.
Oops, you're late.
Jeanette was on the ball.
Is that excited?
HR committee meeting on Thursday. Got a fun agenda for us?
Wait and see.
There is an agenda.
That's
There
good.
is an agenda.
That's good. Next Tuesday is finance. Next Thursday is policy. Following Tuesday is technology. That ends us out for the month. We've got elections coming up in November. Oh, I will share that with the elections, Wednesday is the first day that you can absentee vote in person at the auditor's office. And I believe that you can request ballot by mail right now through the 25th of the month. So that is coming up. Please come out and vote.
Remind me on the ISB annual convention. Those are both full days. The 19th, is that a win?
Wednesday, Thursday.
So
Wednesday, Thursdays.
the first day, the pre-conference can be full or half.
Okay.
They have them sectioned off, so delegate assembly,
Is that me again?
that's you,
And that's what day?
is the Wednesday,
That's the 19th.
and that's in the morning, and usually they go until they're done and break for lunch at that point. And then Thursday is all day.
So then Wednesday morning, I'm there 8 to.
And I will correct, I don't know why it says 5 and not on the 17th, so, but it will be a 5:30 board meeting, not a 5 o'clock board meeting.
Okay, appreciate it.
And it's on the third Monday instead of the second.
It is on the third Monday because the votes have to be canvassed, and then you have to be sworn in after that, so it's a third Monday versus the second.
Anybody have anything they need to switch around on the calendar, or are we good with the dates?
Thank you for pointing that out.
Okay. I think that's all we've got tonight, unless anybody has anything else.
So no meeting on the 10th.
Correct. Move it back a week. I think Candace is the 13th.
Something like that.
Okay. And then the 20th is all day for us.
Yes, at the convention. So if you're going, if you could let us know and we'll get you registered. If you know what, on Wednesday, if you're going on Wednesday and you know what sessions you want to attend, send those to us as well and we'll get you registered for those sessions.
I do think that we are really close to being recognized as a full board for having enough hours for ISB training this year that we may actually be getting an award if anybody is interested in attending and getting that. And that would be on Thursday at lunch. So if you're able to go to that, that would be.
So then in the board meeting on the 7th, that Monday, is that when we go over our priorities that I then share as the delegate?
No, we did those.
So you guys will
those are already done in May or June, send those out to IASB.
Okay.
So we do that ahead of the convention, and then they present them at the convention.
All right, Ryan. It's your turn to shine. Motion made by Ryan,
I second it.
seconded by Jeanette. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0.